Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. It's been a while since I've actually filmed a video, and in the meantime, a lot of stuff has happened. I got a job working frontline at a drop-in in the downtown east side that exclusively serves sex workers, so that's been everything. It's indescribable, honestly. I am so stoked because that's the place I wanted to be. And a friend encouraged me to apply, and I had to get over my imposter syndrome and apply and do it. So that was a thing. I moved in with my partner, and we got a cat, and I got a new tattoo. It's really hard to... There's a good angle for this. Oh my God. Anyway, it's Anubis. He's awesome. He just healed. And the cat is currently climbing around and deciding that my PS3 is a very good place to sleep. So the excitement never ends. Anyways, I hope you all are doing well. If you enjoy our content, please remember to like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a bit of a mini deep dive into one particular aspect of the Pickton case. As I was going through and compiling my research on the investigation video, which there is an audio version of available on our SoundCloud at Just Stripper Things on SoundCloud.com, if you are interested or antsy for deeply horrible and horrifying material and the absolute failure of the VPD. So something stood out to me, and I think it's a really important topic, especially considering the conversations we've been having in the past few years about defunding the police, police reform, all that jazz. But when we're having these conversations, a lot of people will bring up the good cop narrative. But there's good cops. But what about the good cops? We often talk about individual actions of obviously bad cops, those who execute people, predominantly Black people in America, Indigenous people here in Canada. We know those are bad apples, but one bad apple spoils the bunch, and the system is completely rotten. What I believe some people still miss in this conversation is that the system is built to spoil the individual. Even if you're a generally good person going in, if you have good intentions, the system is built to affect you. It reinforces white supremacy first and foremost. It teaches officers who they are meant to protect. It teaches them to protect capital interests. And it teaches them who is worthy and who is not worthy of that protection. As part of my research, I was reading former VPD detective Constable Lorimer Shenner's book on the Pickton case, and I really felt for him as he was working on the missing women case. He was fighting an uncaring system that wouldn't even fund the investigation properly, while they had no problem funding a task force to address home invasions in a well-off neighborhood. Detective Shenner spoke very kindly of the women and walked out of that job with PTSD. But even someone who seems so good isn't perfect by any means. According to the 1996 Canada Census, Indigenous people only made up 1.7% of the population in Greater Vancouver at that time. And yet, 4 of the 6 victims Pickton would eventually be convicted of murdering were Indigenous women. Roughly a third of the missing women were Indigenous. Detective Shenner must have known that a large number of the missing women were Indigenous. And yet, from what I found, he did not make the best efforts to get in touch with the community. In fact, he only visited the Vancouver Police's Native Liaison office after he finished his assignment at Missing Persons. The office was right across the street from where he worked. While the VPD liked to push Indigenous people to report crimes to the Native Liaison Unit, they had no significant investigative capabilities, and VPD wouldn't take cases from them. So the cases were basically sent there to die. VPD basically said, fuck Indigenous people. According to Rand, community is the #1 factor in solving cases with little physical evidence, like the missing and murdered women investigation, where the Indigenous community was integral to many of the missing and murdered women, their families, their lives, their day-to-day interactions. The people who knew them, knew their habits, knew them best. Jamie Lee Hamilton, sex worker activist and a badass politician, probably wasn't the only one to notice how the police didn't reach out to the community. She said that the only explanation she had was the lack of interest. In November 1998, downtown East Side Community Police Officer Dave Dixon wrote in a memo to 2 VPD higher-ups, "I know or am familiar with probably 75% of the women on the attached list, and I feel very strongly that a large percentage of the women have met with foul play. I feel this way for the following reasons. The majority of women are on social assistance and have stopped picking up their checks. There has been no family contact. Street friends or associates have not seen them. They are among the most vulnerable group that exists." He provided a list of names, including 9 women who had been killed by Pickton. Diane Melnick, Tanya Hollick, Stephanie Lane, Janet Henry, Sarah DeVries, Marnie Frey, Carrie Koski, Helen Hallmark, and Jacqueline Murdoch. Elaine Allen of Wish testified that Dave Dixon told her back in 1999 that Tiffany Drew was in a recovery program and did not wish to be contacted out of fear for her recovery. Tiffany Drew's friend and roommate at the time, Ashwan, had come to Wish desperate for help because she knew something had happened to Tiffany. They used a buddy system when working the streets, and when Tiffany did not come back from a date, she knew something was terribly wrong. Elaine Allen pressed Dixon to investigate, but he didn't file a report and brushed her off. Tiffany Drew's DNA was found on Pickton's farm. He was initially charged for her murder, but never stood trial. Notice that this happened after Dixon was already aware that women were going missing at alarming rates in the downtown East Side, specifically sex workers. Lying about it like that was unconscionable. There is no such thing as a good cop. They all failed the women. Every single one of them. Even the ones who seemed to be at least trying, they all failed. And this is me just talking about the good cops on the investigation, okay? This is not even getting into those 2 detectives on the case that were basically a real life version of those 2 guys on The Wire that fucked everything up every time. Yeah. Apparently they were based on a true story. Or all the true stories. They're products of a system that is not built to care about women. Women who are Indigenous, women who are sex workers, women who suffer from addiction, women who are marginalized. The system creates a culture that serves only those deemed worthy. So say it with us, because it is universally true. All cops are bastards. Defund the police, fund social safety nets, fund mental health resources, addiction services, detox, harm reduction, recovery programs, low-income housing, low-barrier employment. Put those funds where they will actually help people who need them. Fuck the police, and especially the VPD. I actually have lots more to say on that on a personal experience basis from working in the downtown East Side, but I kind of got in shit at work for the Facebook post I made on my page. I don't regret it, but I like my job and I want to keep it, so. thank you for watching. Thank you for your continued support. I really appreciate your interest in learning, and hopefully we can all work to make this shit even a little bit better. Mash that like button, subscribe, do what you want. See you next time. Mwah. Bye.